OK, we've just got to talk about that Netflix documentary. I know you love it, Jane. It's gripping so many of us. The Tinder Swindler. It details a story of a jet-setting internet dating scammer whose story has both captivated and horrified viewers around the world. Well, these women aren't alone, actually, because romance fraud cases have been on the rise during the pandemic, what with lockdown leaving many people feeling lonely and isolated. But so many people have said that they would have known it was coming. I would never fall to the tricks of a fraudster. But the reality is, many of us can, Jane, can't they?
Yeah, it's funny, because, I mean, I think, you know, most weeks you read in the papers of somebody who's been scammed in some way by somebody that they thought that they were dating or whatever. And you do sort of look at it and you think, but how? How could you have allowed that to happen? Having watched this documentary, I mean, it is jaw-dropping. And you start off like that, and then your jaw just gets... I mean, the way that he does it, and I don't want to give it away, particularly for anybody who hasn't seen it, but he, you know, it's over a very long period of time. It's a very complex and very sophisticated scam, where he just builds up this whole persona that is wholly believable. And, of course, they fall in love with him. Then the drama starts. Then the requests for money start for, you know, help me out in this short-term scenario. And, you know, it's entirely... You can now look at it and you see, oh, God, yeah, I can see how these young women got kind of bamboozled.
And because you'd look at them and they're intelligent women, aren't they?
They're very intelligent women. I mean, again, I don't want to give too much away, but what infuriated me was that he is allowed to get away with it so many times because the police were so lame.
Don't care.
In how, you know, if anybody had... One of the women, I think he scammed £250,000 from. If I stole that from a bank, I'd be in prison for goodness knows how many years. Or if I walked into a shop and stole it or whatever, a diamond. But they don't seem to take it seriously. It's that thing of, oh, well, they're just silly women. They're silly women who've been defrauded. They should have known better. And actually, when the story broke, a lot of the people's comments were, oh, silly women. And you just think, how about actually focusing on the real criminal here?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. I mean, I've been in a coercive relationship in my past, and most definitely I can relate to those women because I was in that position. I was in a relationship with somebody who, you know, we were of equal pegging, so there was no problem in terms of money at the beginning. But then once that person, you know, fell out of their job, they then you know, I began to support that person financially, and then it just one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you know, you're sort of knee deep in this kind of entrenched relationship where the person controls you and that's every aspect of your life. So, you know, in coercive relationships, it's about being separated from those that can speak any sense to you. So they isolate you from your family, your friends, and then you become pretty much, you know, in their control.
Did he have access to your funds himself?
Well, yeah. I mean, I actually gave them a card to be able to use because I didn't want them to feel emasculated by having to ask me for money. So I actually did do that. And I know, you know, before anybody tweets me, I don't want to hear it. I'm telling you now, I'm straight up and upfront, I don't want to hear it. Because until you've walked a mile in that person's shoes, you don't know what that experience is and you don't know what that person's gone through. Yes, I did it. I did it for reasons that I was young and dumb, and that's a really awkward, and I say this a lot.
Love, maybe.
Young, dumb, and in what I thought was love. But, you know, was it really when I look back on it now, when it was so controlling? Most definitely, I can say I felt like I was in love, but the kind of control that person has over you in terms of your mental capacity to make good decisions, that goes out of the window completely because you feel completely controlled by that person.
And how did you find out that he racked up debt?
I got a phone call from the bank saying, you know, this amount of money has been put through on your card. Are you aware of this? And I was like, no. And it was, you know, it was my card that I'd given, and at that point I knew then what was going on, and it was kind of, I
don't know what you should say the figure, but we're not talking about a tiny amount of money here, are we?
No, I mean, you know, it escalates to cars and, you know, massive big things that you do. And I think, you know, I take responsibility for my decisions, most definitely. I made them. But was I in my right mind? I don't believe I was. Because me, the person that I am now, and that person then was so fully immersed in that world, which I'm sure some of those other women were. They completely fall into that trap of being in that world where nobody else makes sense other than that person.
Would you have ever thought of trying to claim that money back by going to the authorities and trying to talk to your bank about it?
Well, no.
And I think you?
No, and I think with most women, when you're in that situation, you feel embarrassed. You're too embarrassed to even tell. I was so embarrassed I couldn't tell my mum or my dad what had happened and what I had done.
And do you know what the first
decisions that
question
I've
would
made.
be? Did you give him that credit card?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be and then you'd say yes, and then they'd go, well
it's
where's
your
the
fault.
crime?
Exactly.
But you see, in the case of this guy on here, he woos them all with these private jets and this amazing jet-set lifestyle. So it doesn't occur to these women that he's not a billionaire's son. And then, of course, you get the phone calls saying, I just can't access this amount of money.
Well, I tell you what, we could talk about this for so long, we really could.
Oh,
but I've got to get
with
in the right of reply from Shimon on Instagram. He says, I will share my side of the story in the next few days when I've sorted out the best and most respectful way to tell it both to the involved parties and myself. Until then, please keep an open mind and heart. He's since deleted his Instagram account.
An open
Make of that
mind
what
and
you
heart.
will.